welcome to the 36th Leadership Levers lecture by Vanitha Keswani, who is a CEO of Madison Media Sigma, which is a part of a big conglomerate called is Madison Media and OH. As some of you would be aware, or maybe all of you must be aware, it is rated as second best media agency in the country by ET's brand equity. And also it is ranked as a top 5 global independent media agency by Rackman in 2020. And it continues to up the antenna as far as media is concerned. And if you look at her career, it's absolutely illustrious. That's one part of it. I'll tell you why one part. The second part is even more interesting, which I think is a very, very interesting and very pertinent to all of us, though at least those of us who are interested. Let me tell you the first part of it. The why I said is a very illustrious is, right now she's about 30 years of a wonderful career. And then immediately after her MBA into 1991, she worked with Bennett Coleman Company Limited, the TimesPro Group, for 3 years, right? And immediately after that, she joined as an account manager in Madison, where she worked for 20 years, and she joined as account manager and demoted to the office as the chief operating officer in 2015. And since 2015, she is the CEO of a current organization that is Madison Media Sigma, where she handles the portfolio of 800 crores plus the business with some of the most demanding clients, like I've written there. Why demanding? Because they're all the top class companies in the country, and they want nothing less than the best. And you are going to have the pleasure of listening to that wonderful, gentle woman. And the second part is very interesting, where I got to know, and it's my pleasure and honor to know that actually, and I thought I must share with her permission with all of you. And that is that, she is a healer. And what she meant, by that I mean is that she's a certified Taoist, healing hands practitioner, Taoist song and dance practitioner, and she conducts these classes right every day, every Sunday morning. In fact, with her permission, let me just share with all of you. I must share with all of you one interesting thing that is. Hope I can share this. I'm just sharing this. I think those of you who are interested must try this one. This is I've just put it here in the chat box. And this is the course that she's launching here. She's going to launch 4 courses, by the way, right? The Power of the Soul, the Soulful Love, Forgiveness, and Science of Spirituality. And she's going to launch another interesting one from tomorrow onwards. And those of you who are interested, please join. She has actually touched, thousands of people, in the sense that they have been enabled to become better individuals, and so much so that they have developed unfound resilience. Every time you look for resilience outside of also each one of us, maybe we seek out a lot of motivation outside. But then because of her teachings, and these are all very evolved people, by the way, it's not ordinary people, and they could find so much meaning in their life, and also found that newfound resilience. So, and those I request, at least consider, those of you who are interested, seeing the other side of the story, especially as we age. That is something that we require, right? So therefore, it's absolute pleasure, Vanitha, to have you. And like I said, she's adept not just in looking at the balance sheets and on the P&Ls, but also making sure that the balance sheet of every human being that who comes in touch with her has truly reformed.
Wow, that's a big statement to make.
That's absolutely a pleasure to have you, Vanitha. And like I said, her topic is even more interesting: social media and best practices, which I think all of us are a part of it. But I think so much so that now somebody has created a meta part of it, and so therefore I think in the next 1 or 2 days, I think Facebook, the re-christened avatar is going to be going live. That is meta of Facebook itself. So I think what we're going to hear from here is from some of the finest best practices that all of us as business leaders, right? It's where all of you as business leaders, all at individual level, also will be having a lot of takeaways from this session. Over to you, Vanitha. Look forward to your session.
Thank you so much. And you can post that image on the WhatsApp, the chat box.
I've done that. Yeah.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. And I'm so delighted. And if there are some people across the globe, then it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And it's beautiful to be able to come and speak on this topic, which is so dear to our heart today, because it is a very, very integral part of our lives, right? So social, we are a social animal, or human beings are a social animal. We like to stay connected. And yes, the spiritual side of it is also all about connectedness, right? Oneness. So it all comes together. Yeah. So without much ado, I think I'll start to share a presentation which I've prepared for you all. So I hope you can see this, right?
Yes, Vanita, absolutely.
Wonderful. So to give a background before we come and delve straight to social media, we all know that traditional media is on a decline. And this chart here shows us in India how traditional media revenue share has dropped further to 66% in 2021, right? From 92% at some point of time in 2012, right? So this, given with that background, it just talks about India versus global. So TV plus digital currently stacks at 72% for India, and globally it stacks at 87%. Where you see the difference here in digital being much higher globally and TV being much lower. So we are going gradually to that play, and the pace is really, really high, especially after COVID. So in 2022, and Madison does this, survey and a report that we do, which is called the PMAR, every year for many, many years now, which predicts and tracks the media ADEX's ad expenditure. So that talks about digital and TV coming almost neck to neck in 2022. Given that now, these are just some numbers. I'm not going to too much spend time on the numbers here, but the point is that if there is a certain monthly active user, MAU, in internet, then social contributes to almost 70% or more of that digital base. So there are mobile social media users, there are active social media users, and there are active internet users, as per some, via social data report. And if you really see the ADEX in terms of various digital spends like search, social, video, display, and e-commerce, it stacks up like this, and the growth is almost higher than like 30% plus across the place, except display. So display, which is static, is weaning off, and you can see all the others higher. The reason why social is looking not contribution wise lesser than what the earlier chart was saying is because video also has a large part of social within it. Yeah. So social is huge. So with growing numbers, the approach on social has changed a lot. There was at one time that we used to chase fans, remember? We saw a lot of advertisers, clients used to talk about, how many fans does one have on a Facebook? Get more page likes, which is what you see here. But as you can see, there are many, many more things which we can do. And today, there is no point in just chasing fans. It's not relevant. Why? Because the engagement on social, this graph is like, just look at the drop. It has dropped year and year and year on year. And today, it is less than 1%. The engagement on social is less than 1%. So imagine if you have millions of fans and then they don't engage with you, there's absolutely no point. Yeah. So that's why the goal definition today, the best practice is about not fans, of course, but the goal definition is very, very important. So we need to define the goal. And as we define goals, we need to set themes for social media, which are conversation starters. We need to understand how the consumer or the customer rather is reacting. So continuous feedback is of course always possible on digital in any case. So that's very, very important. And the engagement rate has to be tracked very, very closely. And then we need to realign and reprioritize the themes basis the engagement, double down on themes which are more conversation starters, evaluate that basis the audience perception, measure the impact, and then keep going through that cycle again and again. So that's the kind of the typical work, the way it works now. Now, when we go further, what kind of tone should we aim for? So tone is the voice of our brand, and we need to be very clear on how we want to speak to our audience, right? Any change in that tone might be very jarring for the customer, right? Different brands have different tones, and some brands use experts, some brand needs conversational, some brands need educational, some brands needs humor, right? So that's the first thing that we need to take care of. Having said that, a social strategy has at its peg one side as content, in terms of you need to look at the content per se and what forms of content. And of course, like I just said, engagement is extremely important. You see on the slide various brands, BJP, Mumbai Police, and Amul. Why are these three such disparate brands put together? Because they are, all three of them have a great social strategy. They really have a lot of content up there, and they get a lot of engagement. So there's an ABCD that we have. This, a lot of this is also through Google Insights. There are partners, and and they've come and told us these attention, brand, connect, direct framework, which is beautiful. So attention, ABCD. Attention means that can we optimize for attention in the first 5 seconds, right? Brand means how do you place your brand? In some places, the brand is right up there. And in some places, it's amazing. We don't oversell. And despite that, it does beautifully. In fact, because of that, it does beautifully. And I have examples on each. Connect means to break the fourth wall, which means to really humanize as much as we can, to connect. And direct means the action should be very important. So what is the click through? What is the call to action that you want the customer to take? So let us quickly go through these examples. So attention, have a look.
Bullying. The Me Too movement against sexual harassment.
Masculinity. Is this the best a man can get?
You saw, you noticed the first 5 seconds, is this the best the man can get? That was the attention grabber.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. Can't laugh it off.
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
But she says
And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Come on.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
Not cool. Not cool.
Some already are. In ways big and small.
I am strong.
But some is not enough.
Is that how we treat each other, okay?
Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
The best a man can get, right? So as you saw, it was just really attention grabbing in the very first 5 seconds with the teaser question that they placed in the beginning. Now let us look at how the placement of the brand is not there in a long way along, but still works beautifully.
When we look back, we have always talked about the great things we have achieved and how far we have come. From that one step on the moon to capturing it for the world. From reaching the 7th cloud to being lightning fast. From finding the history of the world to designing the future of it. While after all these years, we are still busy defining the great, we often forget the greatness it takes to reach there. Every little step takes you closer to that picture-perfect moment you dreamt of. Every little move makes your journey smoother on the fast lane. So now turn your maybe one day to finding greatness in every day. Step out and get geared for greatness.
So geared for greatness. Yeah. Okay, so that's the brand. There you saw the placement was not overselling at all. And the third example is where you add humanization. as a part of the video. So just to make the context come alive. And the last one being to direct the viewer on what the action should be taken. A simple one, a static one, Daya Darwaza Khol Do, yeah, which we all have heard about, I think. So that's the ABCD aspect of on the creative front, right? Now, let us also see what another example, talk about how attract, brand, connect, and direct could have been beautifully put together, which was done by Spotify. Spotify launched a campaign in 2021, which was on Instagram stories called Year Wrapped, hashtag Year Wrapped. And it was so beautiful because they just, wrapped around our most listened artists, songs, and other fun data discoveries. And, through all of that, they shared these highlights and we could share it along. And so it was like it was attract, brand, connect, and direct, because it directed us to share. And there were nearly 3 billion streams from wrapped playlists. So the reason why it worked, because it was personalization at scale, and it was also taking care of FOMO, which is, like you see something and you say, okay, this artist, but this is not something I had put there. So you show interest in also seeing others' stories, right? So that's the ABCD aspect we've seen on the creative now. Let us move on to see what a hashtag optimization can do to your social media working. Just as an optimized copy is critical, which we just spoke about, determining the proper number of hashtags is knowing which hashtags to use is extremely important. So how do we ensure we are using the best hashtag practices? So if you look at Facebook and Insta, Facebook recommends using only one or a few hashtags at most when it feels organic and natural to include it. And unlike Instagram, it does not have a facility to tell us how popular each hashtag is. However, in Insta, we know we can use a lot of hashtags. It allows 30, but using 10, 30 doesn't really matter. But the good part is we can measure. So we can know which hashtag works the most. So we must invest in a social media optimization and listening tool, which can track this on a regular basis. So that's about hashtags. These are now some examples. Now, if you see here, the idea behind the hashtag, I think all of us in this room today or in this session today would know about this Coke example, where there were names on through the hashtag Share a Coke, there were names on the bottles of Coke, right? People were snapping Instagram shots of bottles with their friend names, and the Share a Coke campaign worked beautifully, right? Because again, it was personalization and at scale. So this is an example of a hashtag use. Now let's go on to see how to plan for an omni-channel. Yeah, omni-channel engagement. Here, let us start with determining the preferred channels of customers. Then we need to create the same pattern of engaging content, recognize the customer pain points or impact, and bring the messages and channels in sync, because you're talking about an omni-channel engagement. So let us see, I have some examples again. One of my favorites is this example, which is actually not a digital only example. It's an omni-channel to the true sense, because it's actually something that was done out of home. Have a look.
कैसे हो? हाँ हाँ, आप ही से बात कर रहा हूँ.
We walk on Mahatma Gandhi Road every day. But do we really walk on Bapu's path? This Mahatma Gandhi Jayanti, Tata Salt sent a reminder. People on MG Road heard a voice only they could hear.
कैसे हो? हाँ हाँ, आप ही से बात कर रहा हूँ. महात्मा गांधी रोड से गुजर रहे हो, लेकिन क्या मेरे बताए हुए रास्ते पर चलते हो?
The hang of it. Now, how did we make this an omni-channel?
He saw the merit of walking on Bapu's path, along with his smile.
We got a pledge done.
Many left with a realization to keep their surroundings clean.
Namak ke waaste.
अच्छा था, जो भी था अच्छा था, दिल खुश हो गया।
काफी अच्छा इनिशिएटिव है और स्वच्छता अभियान को आगे बढ़ाएगा, तो या हम सबको ये फॉलो करना चाहिए।
This initiative would lead us to a status of clean country instead of a clean state or city.
महात्मा गांधी की बहुत छोटी सी लर्निंग है जो बहुत पहले से ही शुरू हो गई थी और हम लोग आजकल ये चीजें ध्यान नहीं देते हैं। Cleanliness. It has actually evoked and reinstated the whole teachings of Mahatma Gandhi.
The next time when you walk on MG Road, will you think of being the change you wish to see?
So that's really omnichannel, isn't it? It starts with something on ground and how we take it across social media. We take pledges done by people. So that's one of the examples I'd like to share. Now, within social media, this is another example, which I think all of us again have seen, heard about, which is by Dove. Dove has kicked off its Real Beauty campaign many, many years ago. And it's beautifully done. Now you can see here, for example, hashtag show us has so many posts, right? 6.9 lakh whenever this was taken last, with 5,000 images in this photo library, with 6,500 plus, which is 6.91 lakh users. This is the kind of experience that can happen from a omni-channel strategy. Moving forward, this I'll skip. There's another example. Now, how to set an effective social media calendar and what is really an effective posting frequency? That can be a question some people may ask. So posting too often or too little can lead to not the right strategy, right? So too often can lead to desensitization. Posting regular is of course very important. Responding is very important, especially very, very quickly. The quicker you respond, the better in social media. And we need to have a mix of, we've discussed that in the content piece, a mix of video, static and stories. And the timing of social media is important, which is why a calendar is important. So let's see some data in terms of frequency of posts by brands, right? So this is a very interesting chart which talks about a lot of key brands. Average posting in social media, as we can see, is 1 per day. And it goes up to about 2.29 as best practice, right? So it also depends on the category and all of that, right? So how do we plan a social media calendar? It's important to keep a busy social media schedule organized, and it's not possible without a calendar. So planning ahead saves time. Calendars keep teams accountable because there are multiple teams working on it. We can post more strategically and we can plan out the entire campaigns around an intentional schedule, right? This is typically an example of how a calendarization would work. We have, just to show you how it works, right? This is just a physical representation. So how to, the next question is how to handle negative social media, because that's one thing that happens a lot, because now when everything is on the open, you see so much of negative downpour and outpour. So the most important thing in such a case is always address the comments, respond to them on time and approach with facts and not emotions, right? And always, always, always report harassment. So let us have three examples, which are very, very beautiful examples. You can see the first one here by Alan Solly. Somebody said brands should avoid typos, right? So someone had a typo from the Alan Solly brand side. There was a typo in a message. Look at how they responded. It's beautiful, right? It says, we heard you. This has reached the highest level. The team has swung into action. And see beautifully how they've written this, that, we will not be spelling coming soon as coming soon, which are double M. It's beautiful, I thought. Then similarly, there are some more examples here where there's Nike says, is there a reason you guys don't sell tank tops, right? So there again, you've got a response and look at they really respond fast. Then here it says, I do not see the delivery states for me and my shift is ending, so I'll get my team to follow up, to get an information. So he said baggage was just delivered. Thanks for your help. Now look at how they says, thank you for letting us know, right? Just once they come to know, there's just responding. Just talk like as if you're talking to a customer in front of you, not to, the janta, the world, right? On a one-on-one, personalized, right? So these are some examples where brands have responded to negative queries and have really solved their problems, made them feel good about it. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's very easy to say sorry, right? Now the last section of the session would be going deeper, diving into each of these 5 key social platforms, because These are the key platforms usually where social media works, right? So let us have practices that work individually for each, and that'll give us an idea of how different each platform is. Starting with evolution of Instagram. So thanks to the uber popularity of Reels, users are actually the lookout of content that is useful for them. So we all know how Reels has got very popular. Instagram is no longer one-sided medium. It's also graduated from entertainment to infotainment. A lot of influencers, content creators are creating content, and it helps 80% of users to decide to buy. Imagine, especially for the young adult segment, right? So the social media practices are captured here. People believe what they see on social media. One of the best ways to promote and spread a word is to use influencers, right? So the influencer marketing is really important. Reels are very important, okay? This has a background of, TikTok earlier being there and then banned. Behind the scenes, very important to have transparency. So posting behind the scenes provides an insight to the audience. And brands should always stay on top of the latest trends, right? So interact, and the timing is very important. And a lot of gaming contests, challenges happen because people really highly participate in it, especially when they have prizes and something to win. So what's really hot on Instagram? Usage, highly visual platform, paid use for both organic and paid promotion, content promoting a lifestyle and experience through visuals and stories, engagement through interactive Instagram stories. I mentioned the leveraging of influencers, and we already know that there is to be a combination of static and real creatives, right? In terms of frequency, it could be 4 to 6 posts a week, and we've discussed the frequency posting already. Now, when we move on to Facebook, what changes? Now, this is just a Zomato example of how they really keep up humor, and through the day, they have a lot of light content and fun on social media, and they never stick to a fixed schedule, right? So being on Insta does not mean that you have to post at regular intervals. You just need to provide value whenever you publish it, not just for publishing for the name's sake. Interestingly, when we follow profiles on both Insta, Facebook, we all know today that Facebook is a slightly elder audience, right? It's no longer the go-to audience for youngsters. And organic reach has been on a decline for some time. We've also discussed the engagement rates, etc. So 2% or less of our followers are actually seeing the posts, right? So it's important to give more content from friends, family, and less from publishers and pages. It's very, very important, and Facebook can be used to do a push for reach. So here we'll again talk about what is best practices. So you could do a call to action, link a page where the users can directly connect, right? You can target a custom audience, which is very important for your Facebook posts, which is importantly possible. So here it's for discovery and engagement again. Because the changing demographic, post needs to be crafted accordingly, right? So push paid content only, like I just discussed. Organic hardly works. Depending on our brand, again, this is again about up to 5 posts per week. So here, this is a very good example, which was Uber. Uber on the Indian Facebook page have a fan base of more than 19 million people. Okay, they are among the top 5 spots of top brands on Facebook in India. And this page is used for frequent service updates and promoting their ad campaigns. So the content is well segregated with the use of specific hashtags, right? See this. So simple, keeping in mind the customer, and it always resolves complaints and answers queries. Yeah, so Uber is an example which is beautiful on Facebook. Next, let's go on LinkedIn. We all know why we are on LinkedIn. We look for jobs, there's work-related stories. We like to build connections, and we like to read news, which is industry news. So what are some of the social media best practices to follow on LinkedIn? We need to encourage employees to add companies to the personal profiles. We need to match audiences so that we can retarget people who visited our website. And then we can go into LinkedIn groups, because that's a beautiful way of contacting a networking hub, so to say. So what's hot on LinkedIn in terms of our social media? We can build a brand on LinkedIn. We can connect with people, share company updates. We can be both static and video here. And the text can be content and heavy, because here there's a lot of reading that happens, right? So this is again some example of how Amazon uses LinkedIn beautifully. It uses its page to share employee voices, fosters engagement, with the workforce, right? So this one is like, you can read it. We asked employees to share their Amazon resumes with us in 3 lines or less. Tomorrow has been Amazon for 20 years. What's next? Tom has been with Amazon for over 20 years. So it just talks about how he started as an hourly associate, how he led Amazon Fresh for 2 years, and now he's become the VP of customer service. Wow, beautiful, right? This post alone generated more than 6,500 likes and nearly 200 comments, right? So this is a brilliant example of a best use of the platform. Lastly, let's look at Twitter. Twitter, we all know, is mostly used a lot for polls, right? Question and answer, hosting a chat. So you can talk to your audience through a lot of engagement, and short format here would work. So, content is to be in fun brand banter, as conversational as possible, right? And it's more or less just chat, though we can post static videos, but it's mostly on chat. Look at this now. Cred used Twitter beautifully. It was all over our timelines this year, right? It launched its first ever campaign with a series of videos. The brand made us really, really strong impact. It picked up a conversation trend and made that big and huge. They took about so many celebrities, Govinda, Bapi Lahiri, Madhuri Dixit, and quote tweeting their tweets with funny text, ensuring that mention of cred on Twitter reached absolutely new heights. Let's just see this one now. Oh, it's not playing. Sorry. It's not clicking. So that's okay. Like I said, there was auditioning for which they used all the celebrities. I think most of you may have seen this campaign, or you can check it out later. And yes, there is YouTube. YouTube is the second most visited website in the world, second only to Google, right? It's like all of us are on YouTube. We watch so many videos. It's a third preferred content format in influencer marketing as well. So 9 out of 10 watch YouTube every day in India. And what's hot is a lot of information, entertainment, engagement, funny videos, So more than regular content, it's ad hoc content series also can work. And a lot of YouTube specific influencers are there, which we all know about. I for one don't know so many YouTubers, which my daughter may know about, right? They know these influencers inside out. And this is a beautiful example of a YouTube campaign by Airtel.
हाँ, मैं 4G के सबसे पहले यूजर्स में से हूँ। तब तो सिर्फ एयरटेल होता था। मैंने 1 साल के बाद एयरटेल छोड़ दिया। ए, डोंट लुक एट मी लाइक दैट। कम ऑन यार, क्या करें? सब बोल रहे थे कोई ये वाला 4G अच्छा है, वो वाला 4G अच्छा है। तो मैंने कहा तेरा मेरा छोड़ते ना यार। चेक करते हैं इंडिया का बेस्ट, चलो फास्टेस्ट नेटवर्क कौन सा है? तो उखला स्पीड टेस्ट के ग्लोबल लीडर्स, उन्होंने तीसरी बार कहा इंडिया का फास्टेस्ट नेटवर्क वही पहले वाला एयरटेल। तो बैक टू एयरटेल। बस एक्सपीरियंस से बोल रहा हूँ।
यू नो व्हाट, सही किया। सब कुछ ट्राई करना चाहिए, तभी तो सही गलत सामने आता है ना। क्यों? हाँ भाई, मैं ही बोल रही हूँ, सब कुछ ट्राई करो, फिर सही चुनो।
Wonderful, right? So that's another YouTube example, and that's all that I have in my presentation. I'll stop the sharing. It's about 35 minutes. I think I've gone 38 minutes or so. I hope that's okay.
Absolutely. Great. So with your permission, let's jump straight into the question session, if it's okay with you, Vanita.
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Great. So I think we have the first question from Mr. Amol Nigam. And his question is, what category do we take in e-commerce marketing within social marketing? And what is the model when we see ads related to our own searches, and even at times just thoughts also? Thank you, Amol.
Thank you, Amol, for your question. So Amol, can he speak? Can we get him to speak together? Or
sure. I don't know if he can be unmuted.
Amol, can you talk? Vikrant Kumar to host. What about InsurTech? Okay. Amol, when you wanted to understand what category do we take in e-commerce marketing within social marketing, what is your exact question? So there are a lot of brands that are going into video e-com marketing today. Like there's there's also even for a category like underwear is also going there, for example. So is that the question? So actually that's just innovation. It's like how you can, just trying to see what he's asking. 1 minute, he's putting
what's innovation and Flipkart marketing?
What stream is Amazon and Flipkart marketing is? I'm not getting the question, unfortunately. What stream is Amazon and Flipkart marketing? Maybe you can speak, Amol.
I think we just
Another question. I'll just put down. I think it's.
I think, Dinesh, can we please unmute Amol?
So there's another question. While if he can, that's great. But another question, he said FB and special.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are. Wonderful.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
I at times type so fast and won't take much of your time. What I was trying to understand is that when we see ads coming through our searches in other ways, while we search it on Google, what kind of, so that is bang on what we have. At times we see that we are thinking only and we are finding those items coming as a display, scrolling down and up.
Yes.
What kind of marketing or branding is it, or whatever stream means? I wanted to say what means vertical do we call it in terms of social marketing. And another was, how is it possible that every time they are so clear on what actually we wanted to search, and at times we have felt what we were thought was seen there.
Yeah, so I think, Amol, there's programmatic that's at play now all the time, because programmatic is all about not buying platforms, but buying audiences, right? So wherever you audience who's looking for, say, a certain product, a earring or a underwear or a travel, you know, the moment somebody is there, you get to do that. Then a lot of other apps as well, to the extent that if you're talking, you know, they can track that what you're talking. So yes, we all know online has got very, you know, organized in that manner. Very, and there that leads us to a very different space of privacy, etc. I know, but then typically it is programmatic that is at play.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's part of social media marketing.
That is in general. That's not really social, I would say, but yeah, it could be part of WhatsApp. You know, like I said, WhatsApp conversations sometimes can be tracked through some apps, and certainly e-com ads is there. But I'm not sure if e-com ads would typically not be always social media. But yeah, it is a very thin line. Like I was telling you, the spends of search and display and all that. That time I mentioned to you that videos, so much of videos are actually social, right? So there's no clear demarcation, but that's not part of the best practices, really. It's obviously a very side part of the whole.
That was the question. Thanks, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So
Thank you. Yeah, this is the question from Mr. Rahul Vinita. His question is, hello, ma'am. I want to start my own magazine company. So how can I increase my click-through rate on my domain with the help of digital and social media marketing? And what strategic planning do I need to make? Thank you, Rahul.
Rahul, that's you have to appoint a social media expert and you need to come to us. And you need to come to us. Yes, Madison can help you. And yes, and it can't be answered in a single line or a few lines straight away like that. Yeah, it needs a proper thinking, understanding what kind of magazine, a lot of things would go into that. Yeah.
And this is the question from Mr. Pawan Sharma, and his question is, good evening, ma'am. My question is, where do you look digital media in the next 8 to 10 years? Thank you, Pawan.
Wow, I wish I had a magic wand and I could know that. But the honest truth is nobody knows, right? While I may say that, yes, I showed you the global chart and I showed you the pace at which we are moving. Clearly, there's digitization revolution already happening. So, but 8 to 10 years is a large span. We have no idea what's going to happen. Even the next 3 years, we don't know. The next year is what we predict. And that also changes so much through the years. So I wouldn't like to say that I know something, which something is what I believe no experts can today really talk about. Yeah.
And he has a second question, Vanita, and his second question is regarding negative news, which you have mentioned. What are the companies doing to overcome the negative news and the derogatory remark for someone? Thank you, Pawan, once again.
Thank you for asking that question. But unfortunately, it's not about stopping people from doing it. The only thing we can do is respond to them, right? Of course, you can be sure that you can do a lot. If there are any bots that are writing it, if there is some something that's being done from an ill intention and not a real customer, there are some ways to find out through those third party. There are some specific tools that are there in the market. But in general, negative news is something that you cannot avoid. So the best way is to just, be transparent and, like I said, through my examples, just not overcome it in terms of not avoiding it, but rather facing it.
Thank you. And before I take the next question, Vanita, so I have one question that one of our somebody was asking us in some other platform. Is there any company that you think, maybe in B2C or B2B or G2C or C2C, whatever company in the format they're in, where they do not indulge in social media, campaigns, or they're not there in the social media, but yet they're doing well?
Not that any company that comes to my mind, honestly. I think everybody is there in some platform or the other. There may be somebody who may not be as omni-channel, but I don't think today in today's day and age, there's any brand whatsoever, or any company that's not on social media. Right. They may be just getting better and not, lagging behind. But clearly in every category, if there is a brand A and brand B, and brand A is more on social media and more digitally inclined, we see a clear intent of the brand B to catch up, right? Because you cannot do without that today. Yeah,
absolutely. And this is the question from Mr. Sriram Ramchandran, and this question is: in ABCD, which one has worked the most, meaning which has delivered in terms of revenue for the company or reaching more people? Thank you, Sriram.
Thanks, Sriram. So it depends on the category and the brand. There's no ABCD is not like a guideline that it has to be only A, only B. Like I gave an example of all of ABCD together by Spotify. So there was no selection, but a brand may choose to say that, okay, I'm going to focus more on, the OnePlus ad. They must have focused more on saying that let's just avoid the overselling, right? So that was the key strategic pillar. So it's upon the brand to select which is the key strategic pillar. Some may select A, B, C, D all, some may select A, C, B, or D. So there's nothing that one over the other has delivered in terms of revenue, and there's no study to say that in any case.
Great. So this is the question from Mr. Nagarjun. He has two questions, Vanita. And the first question is, what strategy to be followed for positioning fertility treatment offering to the corporates to include in their employee benefits policy? That's one. And the second one that he has got is, how do we break the social stigma associated with infertility and encourage youngsters to speak openly and take necessary help? Thank you, Nagarjun. Very provocative question, I would say.
Yeah, but again, it's a question that requires a strategy to answer that, right? So obviously that can't be answered in this forum. I'm afraid. It's I do know of a lot of things. Like I remember we and Madison had a brand. I think it was, I'm not getting the brand name right. NACO. I think it was NACO in Delhi, and we did a beautiful campaign where. There was something where you had to say the word condom. I'm just taking a related theme. Yeah, and then today we handle, as Madison, in one of our other units, we handle Kama Sutra condoms, for example. So there's a lot of work that is done on social media for them, which is on a very different level. So yes, there can be things done, and for fertility, etc. Also, we have Indira IVF as one of our clients. So. Yeah, so I mean, that is really a strategy that will have to be worked upon. But I don't know about the employee benefits policy. That's again outside the realm of discussion totally. Yeah.
And this is the question from a very interesting, very small one from Mr. Nagbhushan Hiremath. And his question is, can you elaborate on omni-channel communication? Thank you, Nagbhushan.
Thank you, Nagbhushan. Omni-channel is just literally multiple channels. So I took two examples. That's why one is on one channel means a medium, right? So one example, which was the Tata Salt Namak Ke Vaste, was truly omni-channel from a traditional offline as well as an online omni-channel space, like a truly omni-channel, because it's not just digital. The other omni-channel could be within the digital medium. Can I be omni-channel? Which will mean, am I on Facebook, Insta, Twitter? Some brands like I was just answering Nagendra was. Some brands focus more on Insta. They may not even be on Twitter very active, right? So omni-channel means how you can really take the whole, universe of digital and all the channels, and then be there differentially in different ways, because each channel needs a different treatment. Just to do the same on Facebook versus Insta won't work, and that's what we discussed today. Yeah.
And his second question, by the way, is how political analysts use social media. Will it help them to predict?
No answers to any political questions, please. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so his question from Mr. Vijay Power, and his question is: how much share is taken away as profit from India? The money spent by businesses. Do you think Indian social media tool is a real requirement of the time and can be more cheaper if the solution is India based in general, geolocation based? Thank you, Vijay.
I'm trying to still read and imbibe the question. How much share is taken away as profit from India? From the
I think
money
he's
spent
referring to the foreign, the ad agencies or the media conglomerates.
Oh, okay. So it's not about money spent. How will they take profits from India? I mean, any agencies, whether it's India or abroad, agencies are not getting too much profits, honestly. It's like, I don't know what's really the point that he's trying to make, because it's not really so much money that agencies are making as such. Unless he's talking about businesses, that also, I don't think it's more money is made only by the rupee that they spend on e-com. Profit, I'm not too sure what he means by profit here. Yeah.
Maybe if you have any follow-up question, Vijay, please put it in the Q&A box. Maybe we'll come back to you. Right. Well, let's go ahead with the next one, which is from Mr. Okay.
To manage the social media as a SaaS-based product.
So this is about SaaS. So this is from Ratnapritam Chaudhary, Vanita. And his question is: social media is having a good impact in this digital world, and how to maximize the social media as a SaaS-based product and utilize it as a resource and make more impactful in the business world. Thank you, Ratnapritam.
Thank you, Ratnapritam. I think you can, this will require digital team specialist who works on social media more day to day to answer something like this. I may not again be able to answer it in great detail. So I apologize for that.
And the last question for today, I think maybe last but one, is from Ravi Shankar. His question is: what are the optimum channels to be used for any SME or startups?
Yeah, so it's not different from the big brands. It's just to look at your category and just to, now we know what's good for each platform of social media. So just identify what we need to do. I think SME startups use digital far more than a mass brand. That's all I know. In the sense that their percentage share of the plan would have maximum digital. Unlike other brands which are well known or established brands, they would do more on television, out of home, other things as well. But startups and SME need more ROI from the more bang of the buck. So they invest more on digital, but where on digital? That's completely differs on the category and the brand at play. Right.
And probably last question for today evening is from Mr. Akshay. And his question is, if a relaunch or a rebrand activity has not penetrated over a year, what is the best way to move ahead across social channels? Thank you, Akshay.
Thank you, Akshay. I think we discussed a lot on the creative aspect. I think if it's some relaunch is not penetrated over a year, that means the conversation starter. Remember the first slide we said, create a goal. If the goal is not met, then what do we do across the cycle? That's applicable. Now you just need to ask yourself, what was the theme around? Was the theme not liked by the, so the whole part, that the first part of the presentation, I think, was answering that actually.
I think we still have, with your permission, I'm taking the last question. This question is from Mr. Gopal Krishnan. Why Indian startups in social media is still not non-starter?
Oh, well, that's not true. I think a lot of startups are doing very, very well in social media. And that's not true. But yeah, of course, now we are seeing the whole startups last year versus this year, we're seeing a trend happening, but that's not to do with social media so much, right? That's a business aspect. But otherwise, they did great in social media. Startups did very, very well in social media.
Great. So thank you so much. And before we close, maybe I'll take, with your permission, maybe 2 minutes to just let participants know about the kind of work that you do through the TAO initiative.
Sure, you can put up the banner and I can speak about it also if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
so
maybe
essentially for the spiritual aspect of it, like tomorrow morning 9 to 10 a.m. my first session of 1 hour 6-part series, 1 hour sessions. The objective is to apply science to spirituality. Usually we all don't see the convergence. We look at spirituality in a very abstract sense. But once we understand it from a very scientific lens, it's so easy then to apply it in daily life, and you start believing in spirituality. And what is spirituality? Spirituality is nothing, according to me, but just to know that there is something beyond us as we understand, something beyond our own selves, a higher power, right? So just believing in that and then just using that to your benefit. If you know how the creation aspect happens, and there's a law of Shen Qi Jing that we are taught, which is about soul, heart, mind, body. It's like a whole information pathway where we are taught that mindfulness is not enough. We have all these mind meditations. It's not enough. Soul is the boss. So the soul Tao is all about the ultimate creator, the source frequency, understanding that we are all a vibrational field. And then we understand how manifestation happens. We can apply it in life to actually create our lives, to change our lives, change and transform our lives from whatever we do not want towards take it to where we want it to go. So it's very interesting, and I'd really invite everyone to at least experience one session if possible, ideally tomorrow itself, while if you're feeling the need for it. Your soul must be wanting it for sure.
Absolutely.
So now your heart and mind may have some blockages.
Thank you so much, Vanitha, and spending your weekend with us, and most importantly, the kind of canvas that you presented on the social media best practices are phenomenal. And like you rightly said, there's no one word on it, because I think everybody is trying to up the antenna or up their game as far as social media engagement is concerned. Yeah. And in India, I think all said and done, I think we are not as sensitive to this social media burnout as the rest of the world. But I think we have seen the other side of it, where, in fact, if you remember, there's a beautiful Harvard case study, Vanitha, I think, which is just a tweet somebody has made it on United Breaks Guitar, just become one of the best-selling Harvard case study, continues to be the best. Yes. The same thing that has happened again when Sachin Tendulkar lost his luggage in I think in London in the British Heathrow Airport, and he made a tweet, and again it's a very costly tweet, some of these things. But I think one of the things that we get to see is that, of course, we couldn't ask, but maybe we'll just leave a parting thought is that everybody talked about in the case of advertising, we have this celebrity endorsers, right? Now I think same thing is taken over that position by your influencers. Just the way celebrity endorses from that point of view. But I think again we are yet to see how they are going to be there on the radar for a long time, and we're going to be watching that. But once again, thank you so much, Vanitha, for your time, and look forward to hosting you for another deeper engagement session sometime later. And all the best from all of us for that. You're launching the series for tomorrow, but I'm sure quite a few of them would be more than happy to be part of it. Once again, thank you so much, Vanitha.
I have posted my number, my mobile number on the chat box. Please take
great.
it at 9820217792. Just WhatsApp first before we speak, and we can talk more. I can explain about the session more. There's an honor fee, which we call an energy exchange, because there's a virtue that is given. So we can work that out for everyone who's keen. The idea is to, touch more lives. And like you started off saying, a very nice statement. Of course, that was a beautiful way of putting it. But yeah, my goal is that every single life that I touch, can I really help and, transform them to understand our soul journey, because ultimately everything we do, our physical life is actually here only to serve our soul journey, which very few of us really are lucky enough to realize early in life. I myself am very late already. So, welcome everyone.
Thank you so much. And I'm just pasting the number.
I have said it. I'm repeating it again. 98202-17792. 98202-17792. I hope everyone's got that. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Nagendra. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vanitha.
Oh, and ET cases. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Thanks.